Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1574B, and today's date is May 22nd, 2018, and the title of the episode is The Countdown Begins, the Hammer is About to Fall. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Well, it looks like everything is not going well for the deep state, and everything is starting to bubble up to the surface here. And what this means is that the deep state, they're not going to go quietly into the night. They are going to intensify their false flags. They're going to push their agenda as hard as they possibly can because of the news that is coming out. And a lot of these individuals, well, they're going to start to run, or they're going to commit suicide. This is what Q has been telling us about the suicide weekend. Those individuals that are screaming the loudest, and I hear Clapper out there, I hear Brennan out there screaming and yelling and making threats. And we can see right now there are others that are in hiding. And we see there's more and more information coming out, and a lot of these people are going to either talk, or they're going to be brought in, or they're going to run, or suicide themselves. But before this happens, the deep state, these players, they're going to try to distract. They're going to try to use false flags to distract from all of this news. And the corporate media is going to try to play this all down to make it seem like it's not really that big of a deal. But we see right now that there are new McCabe emails that show the FBI they discussed the dossier briefing details with CNN. They were in collusion to get Trump. I mean, all this information is coming out. We know there's been FBI informants, spies within the Trump campaign. Michael Caputo is claiming that there are other spies that contacted him. And we can see right now that there's all of this information coming out, and this is not going to end well for many of the players that are in the deep state. Now remember, the higher level players like McCabe and Comey, these are all the puppets. We want the individuals that are behind the curtain who are controlling all these individuals. These are the puppets, these are the faces that we see. Yes, these people, they're going to get scared, they're going to run, maybe they'll end up talking, maybe they'll flip, who knows, but eventually these people won't be able to take it. These are the puppets, this is the front line, this is what we're seeing. This is not the deep state. The deep state is behind the curtains, individuals that are running the show. We see out in Venezuela, we see Maduro has rejected the sanctions by the United States. They have expelled top U.S. diplomats. And what's really interesting about all of this is that over time, and from the history of all of these things where they try to have regime change, it really doesn't work. Because in the end, what happens? The people fight back. The people overthrow the puppet government, or if they're free to have elections, they basically force those individuals out. You can see it happening in the Middle East right now, in Iraq, in Libya, in Syria, in Lebanon, in all the different areas. You can see the people right now, since they have the freedom to elect their own leaders, they are basically saying, we don't want this puppet government anymore. We want our own leader that supports the people. And this is what the deep state doesn't understand. They only can keep these countries in line with force by using the U.S. military. And once the U.S. military is no longer present in this area, and of course they have the authorization for war where they can go in and use drones to fire upon Al-Qaeda, or the Islamic State, as they include it within Al-Qaeda or any other terrorist groups. They use this within all these countries to control the uprising of the people. They're really not Al-Qaeda. They're the people of the country, but they call them Al-Qaeda so they can use this authorization to use drones on these individuals and to stop the uprising. And since this has been shut down and it's really not in full force as it was, the people now are rising up and they are pushing out the puppet regime. And as the U.S. withdraws from these countries are going to take control of their leadership. They're going to take control of their countries. They're going to take control of their financial institutions. They're going to take control of everything. And this is what the deep state has been trying to do for a very long time. They've been trying to keep control of all this and keep the dollar propped up by having these countries sell their oil using the dollar. This is all changing right now. In North Korea, we can see the foreign journalists, they have arrived in North Korea to watch the nuke site close down. And we know that Trump is out there saying and preparing to go over to North Korea, but the corporate media is out there saying, hey, it might not happen on June 12th. If it doesn't happen on this day and Trump decides to back out, it's because the deep state had something planned on that day, and they knew about it, and they understood that they were going to try to do something in this time frame, and basically he would have to reschedule it. But right now, it seems like everything is a go. They're making preparations. Trump is going to South Korea, and you can see right now that the deep state, they're trying everything they possibly can to make us believe that this is not going to happen, just like they tried to make us believe in Russian collusion, where they tried to make us believe that we were going to war with North Korea. And this is all part of their agenda. Now, we can see the deep state is sending Trump some messages here. There was a shootout in Trump's National Doral Golf Club, and this is what the deep state does. They set fire to Trump buildings. They have shootouts. They have an individual commit suicide in front of the White House, and Q has come back and said they have the ability to control innocence. And we can see right now, this is what they're doing. They're sending messages. Now, yesterday we talked about the post from Q on how the deep state's trying to set up their private comm network using ZTE phones. And Trump right now will lift U.S. sales ban on ZTE phones only if the company changes their management and board seats. Think about this for a second. And I didn't go in to see who is on the management team, who is sitting in the board seats, but I wonder if this has to do with the deep state players who control part of this company, because the ZTE phone is used as their private network to hook up into their private satellites, which they were trying to establish. And this was, stopped at the moment, but we can see right now, this is what Trump is looking for. He's looking for a change in its management and board seats. And this is all about using these phones for the deep state for spying. Now, Q dropped some more posts, and it looks like post 1433 was dropped, and it says, this is a military operation. And it says green in brackets and bold. Now, green could be operation is a go. This is a military operation, and the documents that are coming out, they are poisonous. Then Q says General K brackets JFK, and this stands for John Francis Kelly. General K equals General JFK, which is John Francis Kelly. It goes on to say, full disclosure, general statement. Once the extremely guarded and highly classified information is finally revealed to the House investigators, DNI, public, etc., Rod Rosenstein must recuse or forcefully terminated. Now, Rod Rosenstein has a huge amount of problems. What was Rod Rosenstein's Senate confirmation vote? Now, we need to go back in time and remember what this was. It was 94-6. Now, again, they wanted him in there. And if we look at Sessions, his was completely different. It was very even compared to Rod Rosenstein, where his was very lopsided because they really wanted him in there. He was part of the deep state. This is how you know they're part of the deep state. Now, we need to understand something about Rod Rosenstein. He is intertwined with the Clintons. His wife is Lisa Barsumian. Now, she was the lawyer who defended Bill Clinton in the Whitewater scandal. They don't show them together that often. They don't really mention his wife, but she is tied into the Clintons. He is tied into the Clintons. Q went on to say, Ray reports to Rod Rosenstein. Important fact. Who do you trust? Well, we trust many different individuals, which we'll go and name in a minute. Rod Rosenstein fired who has direct oversight of Mueller? Rod Rosenstein right now. So how could this play out, and how will this go down once all this information comes out? Well, General Kelly, he gets the Department of Justice documents, and he hands them over to Nunes. Rod Rosenstein, corruption discovered. Rod Rosenstein, humiliated, publicly shamed, quits, or he's fired. A new replacement for Rod Rosenstein. Mueller and Ray, who reported to Rod Rosenstein, can act free then, because Rod Rosenstein wouldn't be controlling all of this. Who is Rachel Brand? Well, Rachel Lee Brand, born May 1st, 1973, is an American lawyer, academic, and former government official. She served as the United States Attorney General from May 22nd, 2017 until February 20th, 2018, when she was let go. Now, of course, the corporate media is saying that she resigned to take a job as the head of global corporate governance at Walmart. Now, what does that mean? What does the head of global corporate governance really mean? Well, she'll be responsible for the organization's legal, global ethics, and compliance and global investigation, security, aviation, and travel departments, along with her role as corporate secretary. Why was Rachel Brand dismissed? Think timing. And if we go back to Q's bread drop 1316, we can see that Rachel Brand was on the list. Rachel Brand, Associate Attorney General, number 3, official behind Deputy Rosenstein, fired, forced out. So again, the corporate media is saying she resigned, but she didn't resign. She was forced out. Now, Rachel Brand was let go because if Rod Rosenstein was then removed, she would take his place. So they got rid of her because the timing, as you can see, they got rid of her first. Now they're going to get rid of Rod Rosenstein, and they're going to have someone else fill that spot. And the individual that's going to fill the spot is going to work freely with no ties to the deep state. So we can see how this is playing out. Now, Q went on to say the succession question is actually a bit complicated. By default, under an obscure statute known as the Vacancies Reform Act of 1998, Brand's temporary successor as the acting Associate Attorney General is her principal deputy, Jesse Panucci. That same statute would also allow the president to choose someone else to serve as the acting AAG on a temporary basis for up to 210 days. The pool of individuals from which the president can draw, in this case, includes individuals already holding Senate-confirmed positions elsewhere in the executive branch, like EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt or Senior Civil Service Lawyer in the Justice Department. So Q is letting us know what is coming next. Q also says, when does the clock run down? Why is Schneiderman's removal extremely relevant? Well, Schneiderman most likely will lead to Preet. This will allow for Weiner's laptop and the Clinton Foundation investigation information to be obtained. Who do we trust? Well, we trust POTUS. We trust Sessions. Q says to trust Ray. Trust Kansas. Trust Horowitz. Trust Huber. And of course, trust POTUS. And Q went on to say these people are stupid. And it said D5. Now, this is very interesting. This could mean maybe Dan Coates, where D stands for Dan and 5 is the amount of letters in the last name, or D is the 4th letter of the alphabet, and D5 is 45, which means POTUS. So it says these people are stupid, POTUS, then Q. Very interesting. And then we go on to post 1434, drop May 22nd, 2018. Reread slowly and carefully an article on Breitbart where Turley Sessions using Utah federal prosecutor much better than a second special counsel for Trump. Now remember, Sessions brought on Huber to work with Horowitz because Huber can prosecute. Q went on to say, do you see the Ryan PR interview a short time ago? When you are no longer seeking another term, you are free to make better decisions. Rapid fire. Flood is coming. We will look at later bread drops to understand this. Future proves past. CNN. We will look at the later bread drops to understand this. Q. Post 1435, May 22nd. Started out with this post. Sometimes conspiracy theories are not theory. Nellie Orr is the wife of Department of Justice Deputy Bruce Orr, and she is an employee with Fusion GPS. Why would she apply for a ham radio license a month after Fusion GPS contracted with MI6 agent Christopher Steele? That's very interesting. She applied for a ham radio license. Well, she was trying to communicate to avoid NSA data collection. And Q said, well, this completely failed. So that means the NSA can hear ham radio communication. That's also very interesting that they can pick. They're picking all that up and they're collecting it. Post 1436, May 22nd. The Honorable Christopher Wray. And Q is pointing to something very interesting in this excerpt of letter from Senator Ron Johnson to FBI Director Wray. January 8, 2017, 12:08 p.m. Then FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe sent an email to senior FBI leadership with the subject line, "Flood is coming." Now, Q went on to say, rapid fire again, and it equals a movie by that name involving a corrupt FBI. Flood is coming equals FBI Director Andrew McCabe sent an email with the subject line, "Flood is coming," indicating CNN is going to run a sensitive story. CNN is targeted, but then so is McCabe for classified information to them. Q said it is happening. So we can see right now that the hammer is about to fall, and it's going to hit many of the deep state as the hammer is swung. Does this mean this is the end? No, this means this is the beginning. This means they're going to be moving forward with other investigations. This means a lot more is coming out. This means we can expect a lot more, and it's going to accelerate very, very quickly. Like I said in the past, this is not a deep state investigation where they already know who did what because it was made up, it was fake, phony, and false. This is an investigation where they're looking into everything, and it takes time to collect the evidence. But once you have the evidence and you have all the links, which takes time, a couple of months, which we've seen, then you can drop the bombs. Then you can see where these individuals run off to, who they make contact with, who they're talking to, which leads you to other connections. Remember, it's not the puppets. It's the people behind the curtains, the people calling the shots. That's where they're trying to get to. They're trying to get to the source of all of this and who is at the top pulling all the strings. That's where this is all going to lead. And like I said in the beginning, you can expect the deep state to do something because we know what Q says. Expect more events. They're going to get worse as we move forward because the squeeze is on right now and the deep state is being squeezed, and as they're being squeezed, they push distraction agendas. They create events. Some of them are going to be a lot bigger than others, but they need to do this to clog the news cycles, to distract from what is really going on here, and maybe have others escape or who knows, do other things. But you can see it's all coming. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.